Well, I didn't think I'd be making this video, but here we are. See, as of late, it seems one of my videos has taken off a little bit more than the others, and it just happens to be my review of the D&D Beyond digital dice roller. Don't get me wrong, I thought it was a good program to start out with, but I got some comments mentioning that there were some things I could do to improve the quality of the digital dice roller for me. And I tried it out, and sure enough, yeah, things definitely worked out a little bit better there. But then, as I realized that the old video was starting to take off, I had some fairly inaccurate information there. And I think it's time to set the record straight. What is up, Internet? AJ here, and welcome back to the channel. And today, we're going to delve back into my review of the D&D Beyond digital dice roller and see how it's holding up. Plus, I've got some access to some additional resources that you guys might think are pretty cool to kind of see where the D&D Beyond team is going, and a preview of the D&D Beyond player companion app for the mobile phone. Stay tuned, guys. Now, if you guys like what I'm doing, be sure to hit the subscribe button, like the video if you do, and leave some comments if you got some input on some of the things that we're covering here. I got a lot of stuff that I'm looking at doing in the future, and if you guys want to see more videos like this one, feel free to leave a comment and let me know. Now let's go ahead and get into the video proper here. As I mentioned before, I did a video before kind of reviewing what I thought about the D&D Beyond digital dice roller that had just come out, and it was still in alpha, still only available to those that were subscribing, and I have a subscription, so I thought I'd throw it out there and see what I thought. But I wasn't getting very good performance out of it. And if you guys want to see what I mean, I'll go ahead and put a card up in the video there that you can click on. Check out the old video. You'll see what I'm talking about. Now, later on, one of the viewers came to me saying, hey, if you turn on your hardware acceleration, it should remedy the problem. I didn't think much of it at the time because the way it was working, I didn't really think any sort of hardware acceleration would really improve it that much. Boy, was I wrong. So I go back later on, turn on the acceleration, give it a whirl, and it's running like a dream. Okay, cool, great. Not a big deal. I addressed it in the comments, but then I looked at it later on and I realized there was more false information. So we're just going to go over the whole thing here with you guys, kind of give you a heads up, touch on some things I touched on in the old video, and go from there. Now, this character sheet may look familiar to you guys as I've used it in the video before, and you'll probably notice some additional functions that pop up as I am using a virtual tabletop add-on here called Beyond 20. What that does is it lets me integrate D&D Beyond into Roll20, and that's great. I can do rolls there, but now I can also do rolls here. And like I mentioned before, the issue I was having was that the dice rolling was going so slowly that it was totally impractical. Now, as of late, they've done some touching up on it, improved the software a bit, added some functionality to it, and with the hardware acceleration, it runs like a dream. Even better, they've made it available to everybody else now, so anybody can use it as they wish. And to activate it, all you've got to do is go into the character that you want to use it on, click on the little nameplate for your character, go to the drop-down menu, and then go to dice rolling for the beta. You just flip it on, and then you have access to it. Now, as you may have noticed, as I mentioned before, I was running the Beyond 20 plugin in my web browser here, but it was causing some problems with the D&D digital dice roller. So I went ahead and deactivated the extension, and as you can see, I don't have any other problems with it. All I have to do at this point is just click on any of the stats in a box. It'll go ahead and roll it for me automatically, and it'll display it on the screen there. Let's go ahead and take a look real quick. So we'll just click on, let's say, the damage from Zeal's longbow. And like that. It pops up the dice roll so you can see it physically, and it shows the stats on the screen so that you can actually see what was rolled and how it got the number that I got. Now, it doesn't show the whole thing if you roll a ton of dice, but you can kind of see where it's going, and it gives you the end result. Now, the other feature that is pretty cool is you can actually go in and manually punch in how many dice you want to roll. And it has all of the dice listed on the side here, and you can just scroll up and look it over that way. You click what you want, it'll go ahead and add it to it, and you can click multiple different kinds of dice, and then just go ahead and click the roll button. And it'll go ahead and roll it for you. And like I said, it shows it in the bottom corner of the screen, so it doesn't matter how many dice you roll. Even if it doesn't show you what the results were individually on the dice, you can see what the end result was. Now, there are some situations where I could see that being a problem as far as needing to know what was on specific dice to break down different types of damage possibly when you're rolling high numbers of them. But aside from that, it's really not a big issue. Now, all of that's all fine and dandy. It works great. It works perfect. And if you're just running an individual game where you don't need to worry about whether or not you're showing off what you're rolling on the dice roll, depending on your DM, it's going to work perfectly for anything you could have any sort of hope to use it for. That being said, there's still no integration into sort of any sort of virtual tabletop aside from using an app like Beyond 20. So having any sort of hopes of using in that sort of thing, not anytime soon, but there's more to that and we'll come back to it in a moment. The other thing that I wanted to cover, at least immediately here, is the companion app that they've released the beta for D&D Beyond. Now this is the app that works for the players. They came out with one that was kind of a compendium before, but this one you can actually use to look at your characters. Now, as you can see, I've got the app pulled up on my phone here, and it works like a dream. Yeah, it's still in early phases, so there's functionality that it doesn't have, but really, just about everything you could hope to have is right on the screen here. You can scroll through, go to your skills, it'll have them all listed there, and everything you can access right from this little button here. Now, there's a couple of things that they don't have access to just yet. Again, it's in early stages, but it functions great, and it's a great way to keep your character on you and accessible without having to actually go into a web page on a mobile device. But there's a little bit of another side feature that's definitely worth mentioning here. Now, as I mentioned, you don't have to go to a website to use it, but you can, and it's even got the option to view your character on the website. Now, I bring this up because it ties in with the rest of the video. As you can see, it accesses the character directly from the website with the dice roller. It's still displaying the dice roll from my last dice roll on the actual website, but on top of that, you can even bring up the dice roller right on the app here, click in stuff that you want to roll, and it'll roll it digitally, letting you see it on the screen on your mobile device too, and bringing it up so you can actually see it there. It works just as well as on the website, maybe even better. Now, keep in mind your mileage may vary. I do have a Galaxy S10, which is a pretty solid phone, but it works great. Now, I know I was kind of harsh on it in some regards the last time I did a video on this, and I should have waited a little bit longer before releasing anything on it to see what sort of things they updated at the time. Plus, not knowing that the hardware acceleration was an issue did definitely backfire on my part, but that's part of why I'm making the video here today. If you need a dice roller, this thing will work great for your needs, and you can access it mobily too, which makes it even more versatile. Yeah, there's a lot of ground that they need to cover if they want to make it more usable in other regards, but for just your character and rolling dice for things that they do, it'll work fine for. I know in my last video I addressed some things that I think they could do with it that would be really cool, and I didn't necessarily know if that was the direction they were going, but I came across something else, courtesy of one of our viewers here, that really laid out what they have in mind for the future of D&D Beyond, and it kind of got me thinking that maybe I might have been on the right track. Now, as you guys may remember, I mentioned that it may be a really good idea for D&D Beyond to actually work on a virtual tabletop. They've got all the resources available to them, and as they progress with the things that they're working on, it would lead to it really well. But I didn't have any sort of concrete evidence that would indicate they were going that way, or any sort of signs that the stuff they were working on would contribute towards that sort of thing. Until now. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you the roadmap for D&D Beyond. A viewer showed me this shortly after the other video came out, and it kind of gave me an idea of the sort of things that they were working on, and some things kind of stood out to me here. Now, as I mentioned before, I would love to see them integrate the dice rolling system into other features of the website, and I had a problem with the fact that you couldn't actually use it to roll up your character. They may be working on that. As it turns out, something that they have in progress here is dice roller integration. Now, they have some technical jargon that they use, but from what I'm getting out of this, it looks like they want to make the dice roller usable on other aspects of the site, which is amazing. But even beyond that, they've got a couple things that they're working on that show up on here, and while they may not have a whole lot of information, they're things that could lead in the direction of what I was talking about before. Check this out. They've got a monster builder right here, which from what I understand would allow you to go in and build a monster using different stat blocks or creating your own stat block. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that, but it's the sort of thing that you could do with that sort of thing. They've got a digital DM screen that they're working on, which I'll let you guys try to figure out what they could do with that. They've been working on a combat tracker. All of these things are things that you could find inside a virtual tabletop. Now, while they don't have anything listed specifically for that, with all the things that they're working on implementing, it looks like they're doing exactly what I thought they were and trying to condense everything into one site so that everything is accessible easily from one web page. Looks like the sort of thing you'd find on a virtual tabletop, doesn't it? Now, yeah, a lot of the stuff is revamping, retooling, just trying to make things work better. but it's a gradual process to get to where they need to go. And I'm still holding firm that the end game is a virtual tabletop run on D&D Beyond that would trump everything that's out there and use the stuff that you've already purchased for you to be able to access it in more than one way. And if they do that, it's going to add a ton more value to the website that they're already charging you to use. Yeah, I've been a subscriber for a while. I use D&D Beyond and the overlay over on my Twitch game that I run on Wednesday nights, www.twitch.tv/AJRPG. Go check it out. But even aside from that, I always wanted there to be more functionality so that I could try to condense everything into one localized page. There's a ton of stuff that you have open when you're running a game, and it gets a little overwhelming. Wait a minute. I'm an idiot. So I spent the last how long ever rambling about what the end game was, going on about how I thought they need to work towards a virtual tabletop. And about that, yeah, it's a thing. It's something I didn't even notice at first because I skimmed through it with all the colors and the stuff that they're working in the immediate future. And this was even posted back in January of last year. So it's something they've been working on for a while. I don't know what the progress on it is. They don't have any sort of notes for that. But it does seem to be something that they have planned. So maybe they could do something more with that. I am so excited for this, if this is the route that they end up going, because the integration options that they have with everything else that they're creating, it would be brilliant. How I missed this before, I don't know, but this is huge. See, if they make this work, Roll20, it's done. Fantasy Grounds, not necessary. You don't have to pay all that money for one program and then implement everything physically. You pay your subscription, you buy whatever stuff you'd already pay for and own, or the stuff that you've already got, and work it into the system itself. And the website will do it for you. That is the way it should be. That is the way it should have been. And knowing that they've got this in the cards makes me super excited for it. Now, I don't know how long this sort of thing is going to take to actually implement. They posted that they were working on the virtual tabletop/game board all the way back in the beginning of January of 2019. So it's going to take a while to actually get there. I have high hopes, though, with everything that they've got listed on the roadmap. It's a ton of stuff that by the time they get to making the virtual tabletop, they're going to have a ton of things already implemented. And I'll go ahead and post the link to the digital roadmap down in the description below so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. Check it over. Let me know if I'm missing anything else, because it seems like there's a ton of stuff going on there. And do you think I should make more videos covering this sort of thing? D&D Beyond, or maybe just stick to actual specific D&D lore and stat information tutorial stuff? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I can work on more content like that, because I'm super excited to see what the future of D&D Beyond is, but I also am super excited to see how this other stuff can be implemented to make games run smoother. Let me know what you guys think. In the meantime, I hope you guys had a great week. This has been your Friday video. We'll see you Monday, and I'll catch you in the next video. Happy gaming.